back to my channel and welcome to Storytime. I hope you guys are excited and have your wine and your snacks and everything. I've been making videos that have something to do with the Halloween season or like spooky videos for this time of year. So this is going to be another spooky-ish type of story about the little girl with the scissors. So as usual, before we get into today's story time, today's glamour shot of the day is my beautiful glamazon. Her name is Alicia. She sent me her beautiful glamazon shot on Instagram using her hashtag. Thank you so much for all of your love and support, Alicia. I really appreciate you guys that love and support and just like can't wait to hear story time from me. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys know that I would not be here without you, and I could not do this without each and every one of you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now let's get into the story time. Okay, so I'm sure you guys are like, what the hell are you talking about? What you mean? The girl with the scissors? Not just the girl with the scissors, the little girl with the scissors, okay? Let me explain. So this story takes place when I was a little kid, okay? And as most of you guys know, I am from Dallas, Texas. Originally, I was born and raised there. So we're gonna start at the beginning, okay? So in this story, I'm 6 years old. But this story takes place at my grandma's, and I was at my grandma's quite a bit while my mom was working. So it was always like my grandma or my aunt or my mom watching us. Like all three of them will pitch in and help raise my brother and I. Grandma's house was the typical, like, you know, grandma's house where everyone came over to her house, like the whole family. And my brother and I, my brother was the first grandson and I was the first granddaughter. They're my grandma's favorites. I ain't even gonna lie, okay? It is what it is. As most of you guys know, I do have naturally curly / wavy hair, and it was so much curlier when I was little and when I was in Texas because of the humidity. So I know it seems like irrelevant, but just hear me out. Anytime anybody would brush my hair, it hurt me so bad because like the brush was not going through my luscious locks easily, okay? My hair got tangled a lot because it was so curly and so humid and so frizzy. Anytime they came at me with that hairbrush, oh, it was about to be World War III. Every single woman in my family is very heavy-handed, and like that just means like they do things very hard, okay? So when I was a kid, I hated having my hair brushed. If I wasn't brushing it myself, don't come at me with the hairbrush because no. Okay, so you guys get the gist. I had like crazy unruly hair and they would fight with me about it all the time. I was a kid, even now to be real, but especially when I was a kid, I was not a morning person at all. So like you wake me up, I'm gonna be pissed. One day came around, I wanna say it was like a Sunday or something, and the next day I was gonna be having school. So my grandma had to go to work, my mom was already at work, so the only person that was left to help me get ready for school the next day was my aunt. She does have a nickname, we call her Thani. Long story. I spend the night at my grandma's. The next morning, my aunt gets me up early in the morning. I'm already pissed because I'm not a morning person at all. She's the only one in the house getting me ready for school. And at the time, I was in first grade. So she got me ready, and I just remember I was not having it, like at all. I was so pissed. I was pissed that she woke me up. I was pissed that I had to go to school. And then to make matters worse, after I brushed my teeth and all that, here my aunt comes with the hairbrush thinking that she's about to brush my hair. So I do my douche and I start running around the house and like crying. I'm just throwing a whole fit, and I'm not about it. And I would straight up act crazy with my aunt because I knew that she loved me so much and she would deal with my shit. So I would act all kinds of crazy with her. So it's literally like 6:30 or 7 in the morning and I'm just losing my shit. I'm cranky. I don't want to hear her. I don't want her brushing my hair. I don't want to eat. Like I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to go to school. Like none of that, right? And I was just having a moment. It was one of the very few times that I threw a tantrum and noticed that I did not do this with my mother because I knew not to play my mom like that. So I was acting crazy with my aunt, right? She finally gets a hold of me, grabs me, takes me to the room, and she puts me in front of her, facing her, right? And she was like, stop it. Like, look at me. I need to brush your hair. So like she's brushing my hair and she's just trying to get the tangles out. She's not trying to do nothing extravagant, no braid, no ponytail, no nothing. She just wants to detangle my hair. And so she faces me and I'm just like, you guys, I'm literally doing one of these. Like, no, like I don't stop. Like, I don't want you to brush my hair. Don't be all judgy, okay? Let's not. A person can only go through so much And let's keep in mind that it wasn't my mom, number one. And number two, my aunt was still very young. So let's just, don't be judgy. It's like trying to brush my hair and I was not listening. So my aunt put down the brush and she said, Nikki, stop it. And I was not listening. Like I was not trying to hear her at all. So I'm like literally just like having a full meltdown just right there, right? My aunt lost it. Smacks me right in my face, like legit right in my face, right on the cheek. It startled the shit out of me. Number one, because it hurt. Number two, because my aunt had never hit me before, ever. Like she did not spank me, she did not hit me, she was not like the disciplinarian in my life at all. That was my mother. So literally just like stopped breathing for a second and just looked at her like, I know you did not just smack me in the face. My feelings were hurt. Like she smacked me in the face and this is my aunt and she's never hit me before. So like I was like all hurt, right? So I get dropped off at school and I go to class, and keep in mind I'm in first grade, and I set all my stuff down in my little cubby. Slowly but surely I start getting some of my friends in my class asking me, what happened to your face? Like you have red all over your face. And I was like, what? I need to go to the bathroom so I could see what the hell they were talking about, because I didn't know, like, what do you mean red on my face? Whatever it was on my face, my teacher saw it too. Instead of answering my question about whether or not I could go to the bathroom, she was like, are you okay? What happened? Why is your face all red? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm trying to go see what you guys are talking about. I need to go to the bathroom. The teacher was acting super weird, but she let me go. She was like, yeah, go to the bathroom. Let me know if you need anything, pretty much. Like she just seemed really concerned. I go to the bathroom and I actually did have to pee. Okay, so I go into the stall, I pee, I come out, I start washing my hands, and I look in the mirror, and you guys, I literally had a mark on my face from where my aunt smacked me. I remember when she did this, and it wasn't like she didn't slap the shit out of me. She just smacked me, but for it just marked so badly, and my face was just red, and like you could see where her fingers were that she smacked me in the face. So it straight up looked like I came from an abusive home, and I was so embarrassed because by this point everyone had seen it. Like my friends, my teacher, like everyone that had come into contact with me that day saw this huge red mark on my face. Most of you guys know from my past story times that my mother, Mama Glamour, has always been a tad, just a drop of crazy, okay? My mother was crazy, for lack of better words. So I knew that if and when I tell my mom, my aunt better start saying her prayers. I got so mad, you guys, and I was so embarrassed in that moment that I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I'm calling my mom. I don't even go back to class. F it. Like, I'm going above your head, hunty. I marched my little ass straight to the principal's office. I didn't even talk to the secretary, all right? Like, I didn't care. I was pissed. I went straight to her door. She was in a meeting. I knocked on her door anyway. She sees the mark on my face, right? What happened? Who did that? And I wouldn't answer any of her questions. I was like, I just need to call my mom. I just need to call my mom. Let me call my mom. I sit there and I call my mom. And the principal doesn't even go back into her meeting. She's just sitting there like, I need to know what the hell's going on. Did this happen at the school? Did somebody here do it? Like, she's trying to figure out, does she need to be involved? So she answers the phone and immediately I just start crying, right? And she just hears me crying. What's the matter? What's wrong? Like, what happened? And so she starts freaking out. She was like, talk to me. What is going on? Yathani smacked me in the face. She hit me in the face really hard. And now my face is all red and everyone's making fun of me and it hurts and whatever. And like, I was just so pissed. My mom said, what? I knew I had sealed my aunt's fate. My mom's one and only rule was nobody is allowed to discipline my kids besides me. If y'all have a problem with the way that they're acting, you need to tell me and I will handle my children. And that went for everybody, including family. Needless to say, my mother was pissed, right? Tells me, don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be okay. You know, if anybody asks, just say that you fell or something like that. And, you know, we will talk to your aunt after school today and I will be the one picking you up. Ooh, Okay, fast forward, I go through the whole day at school. I'm trying to like avoid people's questions, and by mid to end of the day, the marks started disappearing and I wasn't as red as I was that morning. The end of school comes around, I go outside and my mom is there picking me up, and it was super rare that she could do that because she was always working. My mom grabs my face, she starts looking, and she can still see the faint mark that was there this morning. Mom went completely silent. Like, she didn't ask any questions. She did not talk to me. She just had me buckle in my seatbelt. She turned on the radio and she drove. So we get to my grandma's house. My mom hasn't said anything. She's just silent, stoic, expressionless, but I know she's pissed because she's my mom, right? Get to my grandma's house. My mom gets me out of the car and then she just takes off walking up the driveway towards my grandma's front door. All of my grandma's kids and us, as we got older, we would always get a key to her house. So all of us always had access to grandma's house, right? So my mom walks up the driveway. I'm walking behind her and she uses her key, unlocks the door, and walks in the house. The minute that you walk into the front door of my grandma's house, you're in the living room, right? So my mom walks in and she turns around, and for the first time the whole car ride home, she speaks to me and tells me, sit right there. And she points at the couch. I'm like, okay. So I sit down on the couch and I'm just sitting there. I feel like I'm in trouble. I don't know what's happening. My mom's not telling me anything. She rounds the corner and she goes down the hallway where the bedrooms are, right? I just hear like a thud, and I hear a smack really hard. How do you like being smacked in your face? How do you like it? How could you sit there and smack my 6-year-old in her face and then send her to school when you knew her face was marked up? My mom went in there. She grabbed my aunt by her hair, put her up against the wall, and she smacked her in the face. And she just starts rambling. And she was like, well, she wasn't listening and she was running around. Did not want me to brush her hair. She would not sit still. She would not put on her clothes. Like, she was just being bad. So like, I got frustrated and I smacked her. And my mom was like, that's no. Instead of calling me to talk to her, calm her down or whatever, you decide to smack her in the face to the point where she has a mark and then send her to school like that. She was like, what the hell are you thinking? Do you know that the school could have thought that she was being abused and like try to call CPS or some shit? Like, what's wrong with you, right? And was like, look, you know, I'm sorry that I smacked you in the face, and like, I'm sorry that I got impatient with you and I lost it, and I'm sorry. And I just kind of sat there and I was like, okay. Before I go on to the second part of the story, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit more information about my grandma's house because it'll make more sense. So my grandma's house was small, but it was big for us. And she had a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, but it had hardwood floors all throughout. And you see that a lot in Texas because of the heat, I'm assuming, but it's nothing but hardwood floors. This house had original hardwood floors from when it had been built. So by this time, the wood on the floors was pretty old, so it would creak a lot. Like, you would walk on the floors and it would literally like snap and pop, and like you could hear each footstep that anybody would make throughout the house because the floors just creaked. Now, the floors creaking like that was not a big deal during the day, but at night, if you had to go to the bathroom, if you wanted to go to the kitchen or whatever, every single move you made, like, it was so loud. When I was a kid, my brother, myself, and my cousin, the one that shit in the vase, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, check out my story times. The 3 of us made it a game, and we basically memorized the floorboards, and we memorized which ones made noise and which ones didn't. And we did this so that we would be able to sneak into the kitchen, like eat candy or whatever, without my grandma knowing. I had that house memorized from top to bottom. Anytime I would spend the night at my grandma's house, I was always sleeping in my grandma's bed with her, right? At the time, my grandma was really into sewing, and she had like the sewing machine and the sewing kit and like all this fabric and whatever. So fast forward 3 months, I was spending the night at my grandma's house and everything was normal. Like, there was no issue. At this time, my brother was there. He was in the middle room, and then my aunt was in the back room of the house. We all went to sleep. Everything was normal. I waited until everyone was asleep, and it was really late. It was like 2, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. I creep out of bed, tiptoe across my grandma's bedroom floor. And like I said, I had memorized every single floorboard and I knew how to navigate through that entire house without being heard. I get through my grandma's room and I go to the linen closet and I pull out her sewing kit and I grab her fabric scissors. Now, if you guys have never seen scissors like this, I'll have a picture right here. These scissors were metal from top to bottom, like just metal all the way around, and they were black. And then the actual like scissor part, was silver, and they were really, really sharp and really long. So I grabbed those scissors out of my grandma's sewing kit and I go back down the hall. I'm just like jumping from floorboard to floorboard, literally not even making a sound. I creep down the hall and I go into my aunt's room. And I open the door, it's all dark, and I see her sleeping on the bed, and she's like on her side and she's facing me. If my aunt opened her eyes at that very second, all she would see was a 6-year-old with some big ass scissors in her hand. I grabbed the scissors and I walked right up to her, you guys. I put the scissors flat against her scalp and I slide them back right in the front, snip, cut my aunt's hair off. Cut it off. All of this gone. I snipped it. Snip, snip. I creep my little ass right back down the hallway. I go back into the linen closet. I put the scissors back, creeped back down the hall to my grandma's room, climbed back into bed, and went to sleep. Fast forward, next day comes around. My grandma gets me up. It was like the weekend because I know I didn't have school that day. And my grandma woke me up, told me to go brush my teeth, whatever, and then meet her in the kitchen. And she would always cook breakfast. So we sit around the table and my grandma serves us breakfast and we start eating. And it's just normal day. Me and my brother are talking about normal stuff. My grandma's like, cooking. Out of nowhere, you guys, we just hear my aunt scream bloody murder. My grandma jumps up and she was like, oh my God, what's the matter? What's wrong? My aunt comes down the hallway and she rounds that corner into the kitchen. She comes in and she's all bald-headed right in the front. There was nothing she could do to hide it. She could not flip her hair because there was none right there. I had cut so close to her scalp that where I had cut looked white because it doesn't really get that much sunlight. So it just looked like a big white patch on the top of her head. My aunt's like freaking out and she's crying and she was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, I have work or whatever. What happened? And my aunt was like, I don't know, I just found my hair in the bed and it's all down to the scalp. My brother looks across the table at me and he's like, I'm just sitting there eating. Like, I wasn't even phased. Like, I was like, whatever, because I already knew. I knew that her hair was cut because I cut it. I looked up at him and he was like, did you do it? And I was like, and I just looked at him and I was like, yeah. What the hell? And so my grandma's sitting there trying to figure out how this could have happened. And my brother looked at her and he was like, Grandma, Nikki did it. No, she didn't. She's too little. My brother was like, she literally just admitted it to me. Nikki cut her hair. My grandma looked at me. She was like, did you cut her hair? I was still eating my breakfast. I didn't even stop. And I just looked at my grandma and said, yeah. My aunt just stared at me like, I know you did not just cut my hair off. So my grandma calls my mom. She hands the phone over to me and she said, you're gonna tell your mom what you did. So I grabbed the phone and my mom was like, hey, what's going on? What's the matter? Grandma told me that you had something to tell me. Nothing. I said, nothing's wrong, Mom. They're mad at me right now. And she was like, why? Because I cut Thea's hair last night. So nonchalant, just ain't got nothing to hide, Mom. I cut her hair last night. It's no big deal. I don't understand why they're tripping. My mom could not understand what it was that I was telling her. Imagine your 6-year-old calling you and telling you, yeah, I cut her hair in the middle of the night. She was like, hand the phone to Grandma. I hand the phone back to my grandma. My grandma takes it and she just starts talking to my mom. Later that evening, my mom had come home from work. And she picked me up from my grandma's house and she took me to this place and it's called Brahms. It's a burger and ice cream place and it's so good, you guys. They make the ice cream there in-house. Mom picks me up and it's just me and her. And she takes me to Brahms, eating my ice cream. Hey, we need to talk. And I was like, okay. And she goes, why did you cut your aunt's hair? I sat there and I'm licking my ice cream and I was like, because she smacked me in the face. But that was a long time ago. I handled your Thea about that, remember? She was like, I smacked her back for smacking you and told her not to hit you anymore. So why are you still upset? Because you got her back, but I didn't. My mom had a conversation with me and she was like, do you know that you could have poked your tia's eye out? Like, had she moved, had she woken up in her sleep, you had those scissors right in her face and you could have really hurt your aunt. You don't do that. You do not go at people with scissors. I didn't realize, you guys, I genuinely did not realize how dangerous it was. I didn't realize like the risks behind what I did. I just did it and that was it. You guys, I swear on everything, for like a good 2-3 years after that, my family treated me so different. Like, they were almost scared of me. Fast forward years, okay, until recently, and my mom brought up this story and she was like, do you remember cutting your aunt's hair off like in the middle of the night? I remember everything about the situation. I just don't remember the actual cutting. I don't remember getting up in the middle of the night, getting the scissors and cutting my aunt's hair. But I know that I did it. And like in the moment, back when I was little, I knew that I had done it. But now that I'm an adult, I have no memory of that. I don't have any memory of like actually doing that and like what was going through my mind. That's the end of the day. She was like, we were scared of you for like a good minute. And I was like, why? And she goes, you have to understand. She goes, you were 6 years old. You had held on to that for 3 months. And then you premeditated how you were gonna get your aunt back. My grandma had scissors all over the house. Scissors in the bathroom. She had like craft scissors. She had the kitchen scissors or whatever. And my mom was like, you purposely picked out the sharpest, longest scissors that you could find. And you knew that those were like the sewing scissors. So you went out of your way to get to grandma's sewing kit, grabbed the biggest, sharpest scissors you could find, and you were able to like get throughout the entire house without anybody hearing you. She was like, and then you went into the room and you were so quiet, your aunt didn't hear you, and you were standing over her, cutting her hair off in the middle of the night. You like creeped us out for the longest time because we never knew if you were angry and you were gonna end up doing something to one of us in the middle of the night, because you were just so nonchalant about it. You were able to get all throughout the house with like multiple stops and nobody heard you, and like you premeditated it and you were so mad and you made sure to get your aunt back.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just figured out during editing that I wasn't recording any part of my outro. So here's my outro. That is the story about the little girl with the scissors. I was the crazy little girl with the scissors. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, what you doing? Hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe, okay? And don't forget to head over to our Glamour family channel and subscribe there too. And if you haven't seen our newest video that just dropped last night, I introduced you guys to Ezra, so definitely head over there. Thank you guys so much for joining me for Storytime today. Sorry for this janky ass outro, but I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Peace out.